Okay, good afternoon. It's a little after 4 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the City Planning Commission, Tuesday, September the 20th. I'd like to have a confirmation that the Kansas Open Meeting Act required notice have been properly provided.
I can confirm that the packet was posted and the required notice was provided.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a roll call, please?
I'm going to call roll. Commissioner Alt.
Here.
Commissioner Mikesell.
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here.
Commissioner Farber.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Ivy.
Here.
Commissioner Waters.
Here.
Chair Hay.
Here.
So we have 8 appointed members. We have 8 members present. So we have full representation and a quorum to conduct today's business.
Okay, thank you. We'll move down to the approval of the September the 6th regular meeting minutes.
I move we approve the meeting minutes from September 6, 2022.
I'd second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the September 6, 2022 regular meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That passes 8-0. Okay, we'll move into, let's see, new business.
We have under new business, today is the annual business meeting for the Planning Commission. And so for almost all of the city's boards and commissions, the terms expire on August the 31st of the year, and new terms start on September 1st. So we have a couple of new members, and since we usually have our turnover of terms at the 1st of September, we either have the first or second meeting in September set aside for the annual business meeting and the time for election of new officers and nomination of representatives to serve on other boards. So some of you recall that Derek Bernhardt was on the Planning Commission. He resigned from the commission in the spring of 2022. Mr. Farber was appointed to replace him. And then Mr. Joshua Gilmore's term expired on the 31st of August. And Mr. Alt and Mr. Ivy were appointed to fill that position and one existing vacancy that we had. Patrick Mikesell is currently the only outside city representative on the commission, and we're soliciting expressions of interest to fill that one other spot. So there's 4 different things that need to be addressed during your business meeting, and the first item of business is the election of a chair and a vice chair. And so Mr. Hay currently serves as your chair. He has served 1 term, and he's eligible for another term, but we would also point out that he is a candidate for the Salina County Commission, and should he get elected, he will need to choose one or the other, and he will probably choose the county commission seat, which means then we would be looking for another chair. So while he's eligible, it might not be advisable, but that will be up to you as a commission. But should he be reelected as chair and he moves on to the county commission, then we'll be back in a position of needing to select a chair. So with the exception of the 2 new appointees, which would be Mr. Alt and Mr. Ivy, all the current members of the commission are eligible for the position of chair. Mr. Olson has served 2 consecutive terms as vice chair. He's not eligible for another term as vice chair, but with the exception of Mr. Alt and Mr. Ivy, all other members besides Mr. Olson could be the vice chair. So the first order of business, which can be alternately either volunteering or nominating, but we would open the floor for any nominations for a commission member to serve as chair for the upcoming year.
Dean, I'd like to nominate Mr. Mikesell for the chair position.
I'd second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to nominate Patrick Mikesell to be your chair for the upcoming year. Is there a motion to nominate someone else, or do we have a motion that nominations cease?
I move nominations cease.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second that nominations for the position of chair cease. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That leaves Mr. Mikesell as the candidate. All those in favor of Mr. Mikesell as the chair for the coming year, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it appears to be unanimous. We have a new chair. So the next order of business is either nominations or volunteers for the position of vice chair. And again, Mr. Olson has served 2 consecutive terms, so he is not eligible. And Mr. Ivy and Mr. Alt haven't been on the commission long enough, so that leaves the remainder, other than Mr. Mikesell, as candidates for vice chair. So
I nominate Carla Waters for vice chair.
I'll second.
We didn't ask if you wanted.
I
So
do
we-
a motion that nominations cease.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to nominate Carla Waters. We have a motion and a second that nominations for vice chair cease. All those in favor that nominations cease, please say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor of Carla Waters as the vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously, so we have a chair and a vice chair for the coming year. There are 2 positions. One serves on the Board of Zoning Appeals. One serves on the Heritage Commission. I think he is correct by my count, and he's free to count for himself, but I believe that Mr. Olson has served as the Planning Commission representative on the BZA for the past 3 years.
Correct.
And so he has let it be known that he's more than happy to open that position up for other interested parties. But John, do you want to share with the commission a little bit about the Board of Zoning Appeals, when they meet, how often they meet?
Yeah, it meets the 3rd Thursday of every month. The first year that I was on there, we did not meet every month. It was probably every other month, maybe every 3rd month. The last couple of years, we have met more, has been more consistent on a monthly basis. COVID year, we didn't have as many members, so we ran into an issue, but that board has filled back up now, and it looks like it's a good board. And I do like it, but I've done it for 3 years, and I told them that I was planning not to come back to that, but it is a good board, and the tie-in from here is very important, because there's things that you do here that, and the discussions that you can hear, that you can relate to them in those situations. So if somebody had an interest, I would really recommend nominating yourself or letting it be known to take that position.
Yeah, in the past, we've more not had formal votes on this, although the mayor will make the ultimate appointments, but we've mostly looked for people who are interested and would want to volunteer their time. What it means mostly is that the 3rd week of the month, you might have a position where you would come to the Planning Commission on Tuesday and come to the Board of Zoning Appeals on Thursday in the same week. But there are, I would say that on average, the Board of Zoning Appeals meets 8 or 9 of the 12 scheduled meetings that it has.
And about how long are the meetings roughly?
They're typically the hour time frame. I mean,
Yeah, it's
some-
it's pretty rare that we have meetings that last longer than an hour. And the other difference between the Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, is that the Planning Commission looks at bigger picture things and things that affect more people, and in a lot of cases, the Board of Zoning Appeals, it's very focused on a single property, and there might be one significantly affected neighbor. But an example, last Thursday, there was a hearing on a request followed by a sign company for a sign variance for the Subway restaurant on South 9th Street that wanted to exceed their allowable sign area. And so there's cases like that, and there's other cases where somebody wants to build an oversized garage, and so they might have two neighbors who are most interested in that. So it's usually the Board of Zoning Appeals is different just because it's focused on a narrower item than Planning Commission, which can affect a much larger area.
Anybody interested in?
Well, I would probably be more interested in the Heritage Commission, actually, but my son serves on that board, and Dean and I have talked about that a little bit. Probably wouldn't be good ethics to do that. So, boy, I'd sure like to see somebody else step up to that position, but if nobody would, I would do that.
I would be interested in that one.
The Board of Zoning Appeals.
Okay, good.
Carla, I think
Okay.
you'd really like that.
Okay.
Anybody else want to contest Carla for that board position? If not, we can do that by acclamation, as we have consensus of the commission that you want Carla to serve as your representative on the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yes.
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 Okay. So we've taken care of the BZA, and then on the Heritage Commission, Joshua Gilmore served as the Planning Commission's Heritage Commission representative this past year. He is no longer on the Planning Commission, so we need a new representative. All commission members are eligible for this position if they're interested. They meet technically quarterly, but when they have a specific application, then they'll meet as needed. So if they are scheduled to meet next week to look at a demolition application, but they look at things that specifically affect properties that are on the national or state register or local district, such as the Stiefel Theater, Masonic Temple, places like that. So their focus is on the historic resources in the community. So we'd be looking to see if anybody wants to volunteer for that.
I'd be interested in the Heritage Commission.
Okay. Does anybody else want to contest Mr. Ivy for that position? If not, is there consensus among the commission that you would like to see Mr. Ivy serve as your representative?
Yes.
So we
Yes.
have that. What that does is I just prepare a brief report to the city commission that we have volunteers for those two posts. Goes before the mayor. The mayor makes those appointments by resolution, and then we will inform you when the next meeting is. For Mr. Ivy's benefit, a week from tomorrow, the 28th of September, the Heritage Commission is going to meet. So we'll add you to the list, and we'll be sending you that information. We do not have any other pressing unfinished business unless there's something that you want to share with us. But we'll meet on October the 4th and we'll have 3 items. So a good variety of things. We are going to bring back the text amendment that looks at election signs and looks at medians and islands and places like that, clarifying that a little more clearly. We have a request out in the Ryan edition where it's under construction, where they have a development agreement that requires them to build so many townhomes and so many single-family homes. They have 2 townhome lots that they can't fit townhomes on, so they're trying to rezone some additional lots to put townhomes on that. And then the Planning Commission approved a plan for an Atwell Suites hotel that was south of the former J.C. Penney store at Central Mall on an outlot there. And now they are changing the plan, changing the flag to Hyatt Place. And before, they were kind of scrunching the hotel on part of the tract, and now they're using the entire tract, kind of changing the orientation so it's more to the east than the west. And so they have a brand-new plan that they'll be bringing back. When that came before the Planning Commission before, there was a lot of concern expressed about the Highland, Central Mall, Magnolia intersection. The City Commission imposed improvements at that intersection on the Central Mall, and then also the City of Salina has hired an engineering consultant to study that intersection. Don't know that the traffic study will be done by, I don't think it will be done by then. We may have some preliminary things, but we did want to let you know that your concerns were heard and that the City Commission authorized the hiring of a consultant to look at what can be done with that intersection to make it safer and flow better. So
Good.
that's what we're looking at for October the 4th.
I have a question for our new hires. How are things going? Are you learning tons and?
They're definitely taking more of the phone calls, so I'm not having to answer as many of them.
Good.
So as you are getting the different boards and trainings and orientations, they're coming and getting oriented to all the 4 boards. So we've got Board of Zoning Appeals, Planning Commission, Downtown Design Review Board, and Heritage Commission, which we all provide staff support for. So each one's different and each one has its own nuances. So as you guys are learning, they're picking up on that too. But as we have more meetings and meetings with outside parties, they're reviewing things and picking up on this. But even someone as experienced as Mr. Mike Sell as a planning commissioner, you can always learn new things. So it's a constant learning process and updating process for us. So the better we do, the better you do.
Okay, if there's no more unfinished or other business, do we have anybody that'd like to, for the public forum? I noticed, would you like to speak? Okay, anybody online, Dustin?
We do not have anyone on Zoom right now.
Okay, if there's nobody online, nobody wants to speak at public forum, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Might be a
Passes
new
8-0.
planning commission record, 21 minutes.